So thanks again, Laura Lee, for the activity. Thanks for getting us thinking about what it means to be daring and the ways that that can show up in our lives. And we will hear more in just a few moments. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. It's been a while. We skipped August, so I'm like, how do I do all of this? There we go. Okay, so good morning. Welcome to Creative Mornings. Welcome to Charlottesville. If you are not from here, we're so glad to have you here. It's a beautiful day. It's a little chilly this morning, in case you were wondering what the weather's like outside. I'm Corey Price. I'm the host of Creative Mornings Charlottesville. I am so pleased that we are here in September and here with you all this morning. So thanks for waking up with us and bringing yourselves. We've already participated, but we encourage participation. So feel free to use the chat throughout Laura Lee's talk this morning. There's reaction emojis that you can use, as well as a smiling face or applause on screen is also great. So thanks again. We always like to start with a group photo. So if you would like to be a part of it, please share your camera. I'm going to get my screenshot thing set up, and also I have a new puppy, so I'm going to get the puppy in this if she'll let me. Come here. Okay, I got a groan, so we're just going to sleep. We're going to sleep. But anyway, we'll take a screenshot. All right. If you're ready, oh, now we're awake. Well, you missed out on your opportunity. All right, if you're ready, hold up your puppies, your babies, your coffee mugs. Acknowledge your puppies who want to sleep. Oh my gosh, we have puppies and kittens. I love it. Oh, sorry, having a joyous moment here. All right, in 3, 2, 1, cheese. And I like to take another one just so we have a couple. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, cheese. All right. Thank you so much for showing your lovely faces and a picture of dog. I saw a picture of the cutest little lab Bowie. Thank you for that. All right. So Creative Mornings is in 223 chapters and cities across the globe with 67 countries, with 27,000 attendees per month. 9,400 talks online and 11.4 million video views. So we're quite expansive. We're a very global organization, and it's great to be a part of something that's happening on a global scale. This month's theme, as you know, is Dare. And Creative Mornings has a couple of global sponsors, the first being MailChimp. And MailChimp has a lineup of interviews where Paul Jarvis is talking to entrepreneurs who prioritize passion over profit and renegotiate the status quo. In the first episode of season 2, Paul Jarvis interviews Austin Kleon, the former Creative Mornings speaker and prolific blogger, illustrator, and author. Austin explains how creativity and commerce don't have to be at odds. And we'll have links for you in the chat. The next is Skillshare. In the first episode of Skillshare's YouTube series, Unmaking the Myth, Andy J. Pizza, and now I want pizza, debunks common myths about audience growth and explains how just 1,000 true fans can offer sustainable success. So we've got that link in the chat as well. And next, we always like to thank our local partners. So thank you to Worth Higgins and Associates, Ting, The Fralin, Willow Tree, UVA Arts, The Bridge, and New City Arts. And we always have a couple of announcements. So the first is from Worth Higgins. And Scott, I see you're there if you wanted to share a couple of words. I think we're having some audio challenges.
Corey, can you hear me now?
Yes, there we go.
Would it be a Zoom meeting if somebody didn't say, "Can you hear me now?"
We've marked that box off, so thank you.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Scott Hudson from Worth Higgins and Associates. Every year we hold a wrapping paper design contest, and this is our 7th annual wrapping paper design contest. We produce this limited edition wrapping paper that we give away to our customers. The winners, we do 3 grand prize winners and then up to 5 runner-up prizes. The winners receive 50 rolls of their wrapping paper with custom printed gift tags, and then and a $500 Worth Higgins gift certificate. And then the runners up receive 50 rolls of their wrapping paper. The theme for this year's wrapping paper is rejoice. And, sort of after the year we've had, we feel like rejoicing is something we all need in our lives. And so all the details are at that URL. My contact information is there should you have any questions. And we are looking forward to, at some point, meeting in person again, and hopefully it will be before the holidays, and we will bring wrapping paper to give out to everyone. Might even set up something in Charlottesville where we have it sitting somewhere, and if you're on Creative Mornings, you can come grab it in a safe environment. So if you have any questions, please give me a call.
Great, thanks so much, Scott.
Thank you.
And we've got the link for you in the chat. And yes, very generous. And please feel free to reach out to me or anybody else on the team, and we can set something up for some local wrapping paper. Awesome. All right. So next, we'll have Alan from the Bridge.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to, I'm happy to be here to make a few announcements about some programming that we have coming up. First, you all know the renowned landmark outside of City Hall, the community chalkboard. It's been there since 2006. The Bridge has recently, after a unanimous city council vote, become the stewards of that space. And of course, that means we're going to be doing regular cleaning and repairs and things like that. But it also means we have an opportunity to bring some vibrancy to that end of the downtown mall, and to activate this very public space outside of City Hall. So we're excited about launching that with our Rededication Week, which is just a packed week of excellent programming with tons of community partners, everything ranging from giant puppetry to yoga to improvisational music and experimental music and jazz and hip hop and improv comedy. There's all kinds of things happening. Theater performances happening. There's a link in the chat. You can find something new to come see. This is happening all next week. The other announcement is the launch of a new, what I like to refer to as Charlottesville's newest roadside attraction. This is a mini museum / community time capsule called "We Hope This Art Finds You Well." It's a partnership with WTJU and UVA Arts, where we're showcasing the ways that artists have been resilient and found camaraderie and done amazing things throughout the COVID-19 pandemic. And that opening is tomorrow, Saturday, the 11th, from 5 to 7 p.m. The physical exhibition takes place inside of a camper trailer outside of WTJU, and there will also, of course, be a digital component, because what COVID arts related thing wouldn't be complete without a digital component. But yeah, it's an excellent way to kind of commemorate all the fantastic things artists have been up to throughout the pandemic, and remember those things for years to come. We hope to see you out.
Great, thanks so much, Alan. All right, next we've got Maureen from U City Arts.
Hello. I have a quick announcement, which is that we're hosting an art auction to benefit Housing to Home, which is a creative placemaking program we run with the Haven, where when people who have been experiencing homelessness move into housing, this auction generates $1,000 stipends for them to decorate their new place with household items they need, as well as art. The auction this year, we just pivoted, and so there is a live auction tomorrow night outdoors at Ix, and we still have tickets available. You can purchase those online or in person tomorrow night. And then we will have a virtual silent auction. So all that will happen online and end with a virtual event next Tuesday. And ticket holders for the silent auction, which those tickets are $10 a piece, pick up dessert at Ix next Tuesday. And if you buy 2 tickets, also a bottle of wine to toast the end of the auction next week. And we just got our programs in, which with Worth Higgins printed, generously donated the printing for it, and they're awesome. They feature all of the work by the artists. I realize this is like very hard to see, but we have these here, and I'm here all day if anyone wants to come by and see any of the live auction work or check out the silent auction work. I think we're going to drop a link in the chat, which also has all the work up from the artists who have donated. There's over 30 local artists who are participating. Yeah, that's all. The gallery is open, so I'm going to be here and also there during this event. Yeah, happy to be here.
Great, thank you so much, Maureen. All right, next. I believe we've got Sarah from the Fralin.
Good morning, all. I'm sorry, I'm having a little connectivity issue this morning, so video off. But so glad to be here with you today. We were excited to reopen the museum to the public last week and have been thrilled to have visitors experiencing art directly in the galleries again. Yeah, so that's just excited to have that. We're continuing to do a mixture of in-person as well as virtual programming. So please do check out our website. And we just appreciate all of our community partnerships to continue to create awareness for the arts in our communities.
Oh, and then there was one more slide there, Sarah, if you want to just speak to that, speak to the September Final Friday.
Sure. Yeah. So September Final Friday, we are still embracing an outdoor model for this event, of course, to help manage with COVID protocols. So food truck, live music, lots of fun. We will have our student docents doing spotlight talks in the museum. The galleries will be open for folks who want to venture in and enjoy. And of course, the event is free and open to the public. With, of course, UVA students, if they register, then they get a voucher for free food at the food trucks as well.
Great. Thanks so much, Sarah.
Thank you.
And then last but certainly not least, Jeremy for Willow Tree.
Hey everybody. So if you haven't heard of Willow Tree, we're an award-winning digital agency driven by innovation, grounded in user-centered design, who create long-term partnerships with the world's leading brands to design and build digital products crucial to their core business. It's not a very pithy mission statement, but that's what I got. We work with awesome brands across the US and internationally, HBO, National Geographic, Pepsi, Regal Entertainment. And we're hiring folks across the company for design positions, engineering positions, project management positions. If you're in Charlottesville, that's great. That's where we started and where our largest office is. But if you are elsewhere in the US, we still might have a role for you. So check out the website to see our open positions and learn more about us. And let me know if you have any questions.
Great. Thanks, Jeremy. And then one from me. So if you are new to Creative Mornings, we're so happy to have you here. And we would love to keep connected with you. And even if you're not new to Creative Mornings, but don't get the newsletter or, follow us on social, we'd love to see you there as well. So I put our newsletter, our 2 social medias that we use, Instagram and Facebook, for you to connect with us. We only send out about 3 newsletters a month to just inform you about the theme, let you know who the speaker is for the month, as well as registration and sign up and all that good stuff. So I will copy those things into the chat for you to easily follow there, but just wanted to make that available. And last, we've got a 30-second pitch. So let me see if Lee, are you there?
Right here. So
There you are.
yes,
The floor is yours.
awesome. Hit and start. All right, I'm Lee, and I've been an artist for many years, and recently completed a bunch of coach training for about a year because I realized that my art practice was very essential to how I was experiencing the world, giving myself a language, connecting with others. So I got trained so I can help others do that. And that is what I do now. I create and I help others create. Thank you for the time.
Amazing. Thank you, Lee. Feel free to share your email or anything in the chat so that folks can connect with you. If you are, if you're in the community and you've got an idea, you've got a job for hire, you have a cool show coming up, and you just like to tell people about it, the 30-second pitch is here for you. We always have a link for you in the newsletter with the same sort of color and image, so that you can sign up for one. And we send that out at the start of every month. All right, so we always ask for someone to read our manifesto. So you can raise your hand. You could unmute yourself and say, hey, Corey, I'd love to read the manifesto, but we always like to have a volunteer. So if you would like to do that this morning, we'd love to have you. No takers?
I'll go again. I'm all warmed
Okay.
up.
Great.
So,
We'll love to have
okay.
you lead.
yeah, I love this manifesto. So everyone is creative. A creative life requires bravery and action, honesty and hard work. We are here to support you, celebrate with you, and encourage you to make the things you love. We believe in the power of community. We believe in giving a damn. We believe in face-to-face connections, in learning from others, in jazz hands, virtual claps, and virtual snaps. We bring together people who are driven by passion and purpose, confident that they will inspire one another and inspire change in neighborhoods and cities around the world. Everyone is welcome.
Thank you so much, Lee. All right, the moment we've been waiting for. Our speaker this morning is Lee Gulledge, and I will read her bio. Lee Gulledge is an author, cartoonist, and continually striving citizen artist based in Charlottesville. She has created 3 YA graphic novels for Abram Books, including the Eisner Award nominated Page by Page. Her most recent release, The Dark Matter of Mona Starr, explores mental health and depression. She also has created an interactive book of sketchbook dares, a newly virtual graphic novel, musical, and customized residencies for schools as a teaching artist. When not in her studio, she's likely in the woods, on a dance floor, or in the cheese department of Wegmans. So please join me in welcoming Lee.
I thought I would be honest with my bio, since this is a local group, but also thank you all who are tuning in from outside of Charlottesville. It is lovely to be here present with you all this morning. Before I get started, I just need to bring a few other people spiritually into the room with us. First, the Monacan Nation, whose land we are currently occupying here in Charlottesville, where this Creative Mornings is based. Second, my foolish and brave ancestors who lived right here hundreds of years ago, because their dreams and drive and their you know, foolishness, undoubtedly fuel my own. Thanks, grandmas. And lastly, all the African Americans whose exploitation of unfairly benefited ancestors like mine for generations, and giving me access to undeniable privileges on my journey. And I feel like that any talk about daring, this needs to be acknowledged and brought into the conversation, because their perseverance of these men and women shows far more courage than I could know on my, you know, creative adventures. Which is why, as a creative and as an artist of the global minority, I'm dedicated to help balance and heal our collective story, especially regarding the harm done to controlling the natural world as well as the global majority. So I invite you guys to join me in helping create new shared culture, which we all can belong to. Culture that helps dismantle the myth of white supremacy, dare speak truth to power through our common language of story and art. Because things like whiteness just began as a story, and stories can be changed, and stories are changing. So just wanted to first open up the conversation there before I get into all this talk about little old me, this potato sitting in front of you. So thank you. Okay, so I will be screen sharing for the rest of this talk. So please type any questions you may have in the chat. I'll try to keep an eye on that. We'll have time at the end for, you know, if there's anything that I'm going to breeze through a lot. So if there's anything you're like, hey, wait, what was that? You know, we can come back around to that. And just a heads up for my highly sensitive peeps out there like me, that I've sort of compiled a lot of ideas and information and pictures into a little seed bomb of a talk. So HSP peeps, just watch out. Maybe have the decaf. Okay, let me share my screen. And I apologize in advance for any technical difficulties, but I know this is not your first Zoom rodeo. Can you guys see this okay? Yeah? Okay. Okay, I'm going to start. I don't know if you can see the images okay, or if my little screen is blocking it. You probably can see it okay. So the definition of dare, always a good place to start. Dare means to have courage, to defy or challenge, imaginative or bold, or also this little girl. And courage is basically mental and moral strength to persevere through fear and difficulty. Now I must put an asterisk here, because I do not I don't really think of myself as daring. But when asked to do this talk, I thought about it and was like, well, I guess we have kind of turned ourselves into a daring person, which has been quite the plot twist. So I dare by walking a different path than those around me, and daring to choose time over money. And I dare to devote hours and hours and hours of my life to making art. It's probably the most daring thing. Daring to embrace my gifts and choose to feel worthy of them. And I dare to breathe freely and to reinvent and to occupy space and to make art all about it. Wait, I skipped one. Not used to. Which arrow button do I press? Talk. Okay. Skip one. I dare to love, and I dare to feel, and I dare to be a human. And I dare to dream, and I dare to live, and I dare to be present with you all right here, right now. And I'm very grateful for it. So in the past couple of years, it's been a scary time, let's be honest. So I've channeled my desire for action into creating more emboldened work than I have in the past, and thinking more intentionally, how can I be a citizen artist who helps serve community during this time of isolation and pandemic? So for me, this has looked like doing a Black Lives Matter installation in downtown Charlottesville with live drawing, and doing street art, but this doesn't talk about that. You can talk to me later about the street art stuff when we're not being recorded. as well as self-publishing autobiographical mini comics and just putting them around the community, making a street art mural with kids at McGuffey, or inventing things like residencies, which are residencies, but rooted in wellness and in health instead of just productivity. Inventing virtual musicals, because why not make a virtual graphic novel musical, which I have no idea how to do, but we can do that. As well as, flags and dancing and puppets. So these are the sorts of things that I've been, oh wait, I feel like I missed a slide in here. My computer's slow. Oh yeah, virtual book tour. That was also quite a thing. We did that as well. It's been quite a year. So pandemic has encouraged me to make a lot of art with the help of unemployment. Thank you for that. But I didn't have to do any of this art. So really, why do all this? I could just have been at home, I don't know, doing something else. But I guess I do this because I am in love with the visions that I get. They're like a bell I can't unhear. They're pictures I can't unsee. And they are why I am compelled to put myself out there and keep doing all these things that I have no idea how to do. So it's not because I have the most confidence in the world. It's because I am confident that these ideas want to happen, that they need to happen, even if I don't know what on earth they're good for. So it's just my duty to share them because I love this miraculous world that we live in, and they're the gift for the world and they just happen to come through me. So this is why I dare. Oh yeah, I got a little JFK in there. Because actually the idea of the citizen artist, it came from the Kennedy Center. So that's why I got a little JFK nod in here. Okay, so another asterisk when talking about how I'm not daring. I was calling this talk my so-called daring life because as a kid, I was just a little weirdo. Here's me and my brother. There I am with my lazy eye and glasses, real cool kid. And so I was more the weirdo who was off in a corner drawing by herself, or spinning in circles or talking to herself or having a bloody nose, because I was very sensitive, very introverted, and very shy about standing out. And sure, I dreamt briefly of being a newspaper cartoonist or being a Disney animator, but I really quickly judged those dreams as being too big and unrealistic. And I judged myself as unworthy and selfish. And my voice, well, I didn't think that was of any particular importance. Oh yeah, there's my 8th grade civics folder where I love to draw Bob Ross. I love to show that to kids when I do school visits because he's still relevant. Because really, I'm here to serve, and I couldn't imagine how to serve the world as an artist. Because also, I was raised by a civil servant and a Tupperware saleswoman. So when you can't imagine something, it is literally impossible. Because to you, it is impossible. So I devoted myself to serving through education instead, because that I could use my imagination to see how I could actually serve that way. So I started teaching kids art at the age of 15 to the kids in my dad's carpool, and was full on teacher. This is how I'm meant to, help the world. But I think that actually as a teacher, because I learned how I learn, that was really empowering, because you can take that love of learning to adapt to any situation in your life. Yeah, there's me at Louisa County, back in the day. So you can learn to do things like, leave your full-time teaching job in the public schools to go draw on a sketchbook and live in an old motel room and figure out the whole artist thing, and everyone thinks you're throwing your life away. So yeah, having a love of learning is helpful in these moments where you implode your life and start over. And thankfully it worked out okay. Because you don't have to be brave at the beginning of the journey. The journey itself is what makes you brave. Hey, slideshow, let me go. There we go. I have a little delay, apologies. Yeah, I still can't believe that I've pulled off so many impossible things over the years that I didn't even know were things you could do, that I have no formal training in. And I think this is where the love of learning comes in handy, so you can actually explore unknown genres. So I built worlds and explored places I didn't expect to be with unexpected partners. And yes, there was the whole naked chapter. And so moving to New York and not knowing people and talking myself into a job on making Macy's Christmas windows. Sure, why not do that? And, you know, discover graphic novels and read like 5 and decide, oh, we're going to do a graphic novel, even though I have no idea how to do that. And somehow we, you know, figure it out and actually break into publishing with a publisher and get nominated as the first woman and for an Eisner Award for best lettering. Well, that was less of a love of learning and more a lot of luck and a lot of help. So I've always expected people to stop me from inventing so much. Like I keep expecting like, oh, this isn't going to work. And no, this one's not going to work as I sort of dare larger and larger. But now I realize that everyone is just too darn busy to even notice what I'm doing. So they don't have time or energy to stop me. So I'm just going to keep going until I can't. So I will dare to keep making weird, genre-defying, unmarketable art and birth labor-intensive books, like my book babies, as I call them, who are honestly non-profitable, but I find very important in this world because they're for weirdos like me in the corner. And I will talk about personal things like mental health and highly sensitive people problems, perhaps seeing how others realize that there's nothing wrong with them, that their voices, their stories, their experiences matter. And I will dare to be the role model I needed when I was young, an introvert who can healthily partner with hundreds of kids at a time and answer all those questions that no one could answer for me when I was young. I will model, next slide is slow. I will model, not martyr, to them, that we can joyfully serve and connect through art to serve real world problems and hopefully empower them to imagine, hopefully become new impossibilities. Okay, this is how I dare. For the rest of this talk, so that's about me and like what I do and the whole blah, 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 blah. Now for the rest of the talk, I want to make this about you. Because if I was watching me give a talk, I'd be like, okay, Laura Lee, tell me practical things of like how I can be more daring. Because that's the teacher in me. I hate too much theory. I want practical. So I have 3 big takeaways for the daring life that I came up with for this talk. So I hope you like them. And if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. Okay, the first one is the heart compass. Because when you are flying by the seat of your pants, you must make decisions quickly. My screen is going slow, so slow. So when you're making decisions quickly, people say to go with your gut, your instinct, to be yourself, to follow your heart. But yeah, what does that exactly mean? How do you feel your way through uncertainty rather than like think? Because this is all about tuning into the heart wisdom versus like mental logic, which is sort of different than the world standard. So for this talk, I dared myself to actually visualize what is my heart compass? Like, how do I do that? What's my, compass arrow? And so I drew this really quick sketch yesterday. Where is it? Oh yeah, very quick. Like, okay, my heart compass. It is led by curiosity as the main, like, sort of compass north. And I think that it's steered by my subconscious and my inner child, as well as serendipity and coincidence. So I don't understand totally how it works, but these are the words that I use to label like what's going on in there, in case it's helpful for you. So playfulness is also a big part, because the heart compass is all about like this beginner's mindset, this curious child, like, I don't understand what the rules are and rules are dumb mentality. So when faced with the unknown, like, you can be really, it's really scary. But if you sort of embrace the gift of not knowing, as John Hunter calls it, then you can have this open mind of like, oh, well, now I don't know what to expect. And it's not totally terrifying. It's exciting and fun. So this isn't always hard. I mean, this isn't always easy to do. So this direction is much more following like the warm fuzzies. So this is like the main heart compass and how it pulls me. And sometimes curiosity can taste like jealousy, just so you know. So if you're like jealous or like, it's like actually because you're like curious about that thing and confused about it. But while drawing out this compass, I realized that there was plot twist, a second direction. Because I made this drawing a few years ago, inspired by No Mud, No Lotus, you know, that in order to have these blossoms of enlightenment, you must have the mud, which fosters this new life. But the two of these go together. So I realized, oh, it's not all warm and fuzzies that drive the heart compass. It's also the other side, the other direction, which is more like fears, wounds, and excuses. Yeah, fun stuff. But this is also a very valid pull of the compass that you should not ignore. So this is sort of like that inner critic activity we did at the beginning, because this arrow is normally pointing you to where you need healing from stress and trauma in order to actually follow that other end of the compass arrow. So pay attention to the things, the stories that you're like telling yourself, that you find yourself saying, and listen out for any self-imposed limitations or obstacles or frustrations. So yeah, make art about your excuses. It can be really helpful to help you sort of, you know, turn that arrow around to the other side. And I think the one reason that connecting with the heart in this way to get information is helpful now, because we don't have all the facts in life with all these shifting, you know, situations. And the heart, it's also, it doesn't judge as much. I learned working on this talk that my inner critic actually can't travel below the neck. It only is in my head. So that's why I've been focused on like, okay, let the heart feels through this stuff and it like knows things. And so my head is just like a hot mess. So that's why I've been like, okay, we're tuning into here to trust this a little bit more. And I'm going to share a link in the chat. I'm going to share a link to a few things. One of them is a talk I did about the hero's journey, because if you are looking, because if you are looking for a roadmap to go with this compass I just gave you, this is the roadmap. It's round. And so I did a whole talk about the creative life as hero's journey and put it in the chat in case you'd like to check it out. So this is a map to go along with that compass through uncertainty. But this talk isn't about that. We're back to the heart, because our next takeaway about the daring life is about playing it safe. Oh yeah, being daring by playing it safe. My inner kid likes this one, because my inner kid has been so scared on this journey, but doing all these, you know, on this wild ride, taking all these risks. Inner kid's just like, when are we just gonna go to bed? So you need to protect your heart along the way to set yourself up for future success. So this is cultivating safe spaces for yourself to play and explore, to practice and experiment, to succeed and fail. And experiencing failure and recovering from it is like probably the most important part, because failure is fertilizer, just like that mud lotus I touched on a second ago. Failure is that mud that you will grow beautiful flowers out of. So you need to make soft spaces for yourself to land when, you know, things blow up in your face. Let's see. Wait. Sorry. All right. So I do this 3 ways, creating safe spaces: community, containers, and in the body. And I'm sorry, there we go. Sorry, I'm having issues scrolling through my slideshow. So the first container is community, which is important here. Because my parents attribute me being in like Girl Scouts, color guard, and Dorchestra as the things that helped me really come out of my shell as a young introvert. And it's true. These were spaces where I could use my voice, reveal my weirdness, and feel seen and supported. And I'm very lucky to have had many amazing partners over the years to keep me from being isolated in my studio. And this is why partnership is so important to me as well, something I talk about a lot. Friends and sanctuaries to give you strength and encouragement along the journey, and not throw our failures in our faces, which is, you know, always nice. The next safe space is containers. These are creative spaces and environments and outlets where you can freely explore your gifts. So for me, of course, this has predominantly been a sketchbook, which as a shy kid was my favorite safe space to explore and take risks and play with a lot of ideas quickly, cheaply, and free from any external pressure, because no one expects anything from a sketchbook. That's part of the reason that I worked for years in sketchbooks, to even work up the nerve to working on loose sheets of paper. So with your creative containers, it could be, you know, anything, but I would say as long as the bar is low. So if you're like, I'm going to make these giant brass sculptures, oh, it's expensive and takes, I don't know, that's lower the bar a little bit. That's the key for good containers. Maybe just like a notebook by your bed. That's cool, you know. Okay, the next, and of course, the final safe space I want to touch on to help set yourself up for success is the body. Because if you do not feel, you know, mentally and physically healthy, no art is worth sacrificing that. Like this is like the key part of the conversation right now, especially. So this is why self-care, embodiment, and rest is resistance have become important influences on my life, my work, and the whole art creative model. Because we must feel safe in our bodies first and foremost. Before any new growth, we need to make sure that we are grounded in here, so we can handle doing some, you know, new unexpected things. So if you have not made a self-care plan yet, I've included that link in the chat, because I did a workshop last year ago about it to help walk you through, because self-care is the real heroes training. Okay, that rounds out safe spaces. Have I overwhelmed you all yet? Okay, good. You're doing great. Really pat yourself on the back. I have one final daring takeaway for you, and then we'll have our time for questions. So my final takeaway, I was thinking about it, was like, okay, what does daring really boil down to? It's how to trick yourself into thinking you can do impossible things. That's the real, I was like, okay, how do we do that? Yeah, how do you throw yourself off a cliff and build your wings on the way down and rally confidence so you can actually fake it till you make it? And I thought about this a lot, and I realized I do have a trick of the imagination that I use to boost confidence while I'm winging it. And it is to, come on slides, to think sequentially. Because I used to think of in like single images, and when I discovered graphic novels, I changed my thinking to sequential thinking. And so in my life, I think of a lot of things sequentially now. So I think, it sounds kind of nutty, but I think of like past, present, and future me as existing sort of simultaneously. And I can feel how our actions are connected through like the comic of my life, not to sound too meta, the comic of my life. Okay, to explain, here's my very rough sketch I did yesterday of what I mean. So here's present me, and then there's future and past me, and we're connected. So I will sign up future me to do things that are just out of my reach, that are just out of my comfort zone. I sort of set them up for trouble, knowing that future me will have to rise up to the challenge and figure it out. And also I know that having a little dash of desperation is actually a really good motivator. And so I'd laugh and be like, oh, future me will be able to handle it. Sure, I'll do a talk about daring. Future me will be, and I always say future me will be smarter and wiser than present me. That's always the expression I use. And then later on, future me will curse at past tense me, say like, I can't believe you got us into this. Like, how are we gonna pull this one off? But I know this is where it gets confusing. But present me knows that past tense me believed that future me could do it. But deep down, we wanted to do it because that curiosity is a wish. That's what curiosity, it's saying go that way. You're like, really? It's like, well, So that curiosity is telling us that that experience is going to help sculpt us in the person we need to be, no matter how scary or intimidating it may be. So it's for the love of her that I do this for her, me, us, because she believes in me. And this is also why I use us for myself. I talk about myself in like, we a lot, which makes me feel like I might be they, because we're very plural. Come on, screen. I feel like the real magic trick here is actually hope, because I wouldn't believe in future me if I did not have hope. That is like the light in your pocket. It's the Dumbo's magic feather. It's that foolish, brave belief that things can possibly be better tomorrow, and that maybe you can be better tomorrow. So that I feel like is really the trick that's happening here that we do. Because if you can dare to imagine, whether it's imagining ideas or solutions or hope, you can bring it forth into reality. I mean, just look at me, this little potato. Come on, screen. There we go. I went from drawing myself in a sketchbook over and over as art therapy for years. Art that I was really self-conscious about showing to people and didn't even show people for like the first 100 pages. So I started with that, and then went on to building a vocabulary of illustrative metaphors on loose paper, where my illustrated avatar could engage with these metaphors as I sort of start to really develop this, drawing this world, the me inside of my head. And then I took that me, I know this is like a lot of me. And then I stepped up like, okay, I'm gonna build worlds in comics where I can have like my younger alter ego act out healing through story. And as of late with the blue comics, get more autobiographical, and like we're gonna actually like show ourselves. And now I'm like a living work of art in the real world, not just a little me on paper anymore. Now I can actually like live as my art. I had them all going at once, but it was like not loading, so that's why they're not all moving. So I was like, it's just too much. So I think past tense me would be really amazed that we've pulled these things off to turn ourselves into a drawing on paper and like a work of art on paper into a work of art in the real world. So don't wait for your dreams to come to you. You go forth and chase after them. And if you are waiting for a seat at the table, well, just bring your own chair, or maybe you need to build a new table. And you change the world not by changing yourself to fit into the world. You change the world by changing it to fit you. Because I choose to believe, come here, slide. Because I choose to hope, to trick myself into believing that the future us will be smarter and wiser than present us. The future us will also be more loving and kind and patient. Because I know, yeah, this might make me look like a fool to believe these things and trick myself into hope and bravery, but you know what? This is what I dare to believe in future us. And thank you. So that brings me to the end of my little slideshow.
I don't want it to end. This is so great. Thank you.
There's my seed bomb.
It's a beautiful, beautiful, filled with so many lovely illustrations and pictures and video. And it was, yes, it was a seed bomb.
Also, it is sort of like a graphic novel. I'm a visual storyteller. So it's, thanks past tense me for making so much art we could use. Yeah.
I wrote down so many things. Failure is fertilizer. Gosh, that's so great. How do you kind of bring these grandiose ideas and kind of like get them into something that's like bite-sized that you can handle? I know you talked about sort of this journey of kind of working with yourself and therapy through art about yourself, but I think, how do you take something so big and just make it so small and manageable? How do you bite-size those big chunks?
A lot of editing. This talk was so long. and through the editing, because you don't know what something is about until you do the first version of it, and you're like, oh wait, this is actually about this. So then you do another one, and this time it's like half the length. Now that you sort of know what is essential and sort of like, oh, this is just like, this might be part of something else. So I think a lot of it is giving yourself permission to not try to fit everything into one thing. That it's like saying no to say yes. So like, you know, we have all these great thoughts and that's great, but that might not, that's kind of off topic. Like we're going to stay focused on like this topic, which feels limiting. And also working with kids is helpful because they really make you boil things down quickly because you only have their attention for like, I don't know, you just get like a couple sentences.
Yes.
That's all you get. You got to get to the point.
So true. I think now that I taught my first photography class to middle school kids earlier this summer. So exactly what you said, and that was a one class, that was a half day long. I think everyone should be required to teach little children things because you will learn more about the thing you're teaching by teaching little people, because you have like one flash of attention and you're like, okay, great, you got that concept. Let's go do something. Let's move. So
yeah, they have sculpted me, because like the reason I'm doing like my mini comics right now is because I've done so many comics with kids, like making a 6-panel comic in 20 minutes, you know, like so many times now that now I can just make a comic. I was like, oh, they've trained me. So yeah, that's why education was a big part of this talk, because I think the love of learning and allowing yourself to be sculpted and to let go of things is part of, what helps in this process.
Yeah. So there's so much love in the chat. Lots of people taking notes, and bringing over 16-year-olds to watch, which is just great. Does anyone have any questions for Laura Lee? We do have some time for a couple of questions. I have one from earlier. Let me go grab it.
Oh, thanks, Lindsay.
So how do you take that first scariest step when an idea comes to you?
When an idea comes in?
Or it comes to
first you just got to write it down. I have different like creative receptacles, as I call them. So my main creative receptacle is this spiral notebook. That's sort of like my organizational system. And I'm actually thinking of teaching a class about my organizational system because I've never shared it with people because I'm kind of embarrassed that it's so extensive. It's like too much. I'm like, no, I can't show them that. That's too weird. But I feel like, I don't know, maybe we should, but I'll start off by collecting ideas. And the first challenge is figuring out like how you're going to execute it. Because ideas can fit in so many boxes. Like, is it a drawing? Is it part of a lesson plan? Is it a talk? Is it street art? Is it a song? So I think that's probably the most immobilizing aspect of getting ideas out, is just deciding what direction to go with it. So yeah, but I've been I'll collect my ideas. And then when I have the time to actually make them, I'll go through the fodder and so I wrote 10 mini comic ideas for my re-entry anxiety comic. I had 10 ideas, but I only made 3 of them. So I'll do a third of what we actually come up with.
Yeah.
So I think, done is better than perfect. That's my motto. And also good enough is the other motto. So yeah, just do it. It's do it short, quick, and cheap. So it's my mantra: short, quick, and cheap. It's very animator mindset. Just get it out, because it doesn't have to be a graphic novel that takes years to do. If anything, I sort of don't want to do that right now. It's more important just to get the things that you need to say said.
Can you tell my 16-year-old self that? Can your 16-year-old self go find mine in the past and tell her that? Because
I love that my street art kids were saying that because we were working on stuff, and they would be like, how is it? And they're like, good enough. I was like, yes, I taught them good enough.
Good enough. Well, I'm going to ask one more question from Lee. So I think Lee's kind of just asking, oh, this is from Lee's kid, the 16-year-old. So many past 16-year-olds, current 16-year-olds. I love it. So what problems did you overcome with the things that you've been explaining? So I think your kind of speaks to that too.
Yeah, my books explore my different neuroses. So Paige is more sort of my introvertness and the struggle of having a dualistic personality where you're one person by yourself and then a different person to the public. So we're having a, so that was something I really struggled with as a young person, because it would be, because I, as an adult, trying to like, okay, we're not a performer. Like, how can we just be this one person? So to unify the split self, because feeling like one part of you needs to be hidden away, that it's, so that was the thing. And then I guess Will as a character is about sort of my workaholicness, because I have a lot of energy, and I've struggled over the years with like, burnout and sort of being a bit of a workaholic. So learning how to, and part of that stems from the need to like, oh, I must like constantly prove myself. Like I myself am not worthy of love. I must like do all these things to make myself worthy of love. So I sort of, and also dealing with like, grief and letting things go. And, so that's sort of my Will character. And then Mona is my depressive side. I've had bouts of depression in my life, but I'm not like a clinically depressed individual. So I personified as the matter, because also I didn't want to act like that I'm an expert in talking about mental health. So sharing my story, like I personified as the matter, because as a kid, I would be really sensitive and get affected by things and not understand why I was feeling and have physical reactions to things and be like, what's the matter? I'd be like, I don't know. And it was the most, I don't know. It's so hard when you can't articulate what you're feeling or what's going on to even explain it to somebody else to help them help you. So that made me feel really powerless and sort of, so I think I used art. I started drawing about emotions in high school because I wanted to understand what was going on and give myself a language to talk, because I don't think words are always our first language. So yeah, so I feel like my problems have been very, they've been very mild, like I know that I'm a very like high functioning, highly sensitive person. And art has given me a vocabulary to at least talk about the stuff that's going on and know how to, like when I need to reach out for help, even though I don't always do that. I'm still figuring it out. So yeah, I hope that explains your question. I feel like my issue is actually more sort of my manic-y side. Because when I get depressed, it's normally a backswing of when I've pushed myself too far. So dance and movement have become a very, like my #1 medicine in pandemic to help me find healthy ways to get energy out. That's not in a workaholic way. That's not in an obsessive way. That's in like a healthy, grounded way. So a lot of self-care.
That's beautiful. Thank you. So we are kind of at our closing moments here. I think there were a couple of things that you kind of wanted to just share in closing, some ways that folks can see your work in real life instead of virtual life.
Oh yeah, so I shared a link to my website and blog and all that, and a couple videos. The learning section of my website, I have tons of like workshops and videos for any of the young people out there. You can pass them along. And I guess right now, so I'm in that giant puppet show that's here in Charlottesville, which is, we did our first show last night. And it's cool because I get to bring my flag in. So that's happening Saturday, Sunday, and next Thursday, Saturday, Sunday as well. It's in my blog. I'm in the new Mala Leche, which should be hitting stands any moment now. The radical art scene. I have new mini comics that I put at the bridge and are putting at different spots around town. So those are new. And I'm going to be part of the Metamorphics event at the Ix At the end of September, I'm going to be doing some live block printing on people, as well as having like books and things. And gosh, September is popping, guys. It's popping.
This whole summer. Lots of things
No,
happening.
but now I'm like, unemployment has ended. So now what?
Well, I don't want to say we, but and actually I'm going to say we, my past, present, and future self very much enjoyed this talk. Everything you said, I took like a whole page full of notes, and I know so many others did. This was just what I needed this morning. So thank you for all the time you spent on curating this talk for us and sharing about yourself and giving us some things that we can do to further on in our journey. So just thank you, literally. And thank you to everybody here. Thank you so much for joining this morning. Thanks for bringing your caffeinated or uncaffeinated self here. I always say this every time, but I really mean it when this is the bright star of my month every month. And I do love this. So thank you all for being here, and thank you for being a part of this. We'll see you soon. We'll see you next month.
I partner dare you all to have a great day.
Yes. Bye, everyone.
Bye.